I would like to call to order the regular board meeting of Vallecitos Water District for July 15th, 2026. Before we begin, I would like to announce that members of the public may watch the meeting live online by visiting the district's website and clicking the Watch Live icon. However, they will not be able to participate in the meeting remotely. And I did not ask anybody ahead of time to lead the Pledge of Allegiance, but General Manager Gumpel, will you please lead us?
Absolutely. Please stand. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, James. Directors, please indicate your attendance. Okay, everybody's here. Do we have any additions to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt the agenda for the regular meeting
Move to
of,
approve.
motion by Director Hernandez,
I'll second.
second by Director Brown. Please vote.
All right.
Okay, motion passes. And do we have any public speakers tonight?
Excuse me. I do have one request to speak on non-agenda items. Ms. Gutierrez, would you like to come up to our podium here and speak? Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
First time, good. There you go.
Okay. My name is Reina Gutierrez. They installed a hazard backflow last year. And this year they sent me a bill because they said that for the, what's the name? They were gonna do that, I forget. Inspection. So for $150. And my question is, why did I have to pay for that? I didn't ask for it. I live in the same house for 34 years, and I didn't miss it. So I would like to know who is responsible to pay, but I don't think it's me. So, and now they send me the water bill, and in the water bill says that it's additional charge for the backflow, $2.50. It doesn't sound a lot, but I mean, this is going to be, they said it's going to be every month charge. And I'm sure I'm not too happy about it.
Can you explain this? Anybody?
Yeah, so one of the things we can do is we can work with Mrs. Gutierrez on this, and Wes, if you want to just give some background information without knowing the particular.
So yeah, I mean, we really have to look at the account and see what happened and why to give more information. I can't really speak on it without, I know the backflow fee is $250 a month. Chris actually knows a lot more about backflows than I do. I don't know if he's familiar with the account, but
Yes, I just spoke with the gentleman in the back and got his service address. His service address was part of our Tres Amigos pipeline upgrade that was completed last year. And as part of that project, the district hired a third-party company to conduct a hazard assessment at each of the services out there. And this service address was deemed that it was in the best interest to protect our system to install a backflow device. So that's a device that they did not have previously. With that device, it does carry the $2.50 charge every month on the bill. And with that device, needing an annual inspection, they were quoted, I believe you told me $150 for the test. You can do better if you maybe shop around, obtain a couple other quotes. But I think the point of her comment is this is something new to her account, the $2.50 charge every month. And then for her to be responsible to go and find a tester on an annual basis is also something new that you feel is, you know, it's something new and difficult to understand. But it's tied to all the pipeline.
But I mean, why? I didn't ask for it. You know, why they
So,
have to pay?
thank you for coming to speak. We really appreciate it. I think we could maybe put this as an agenda item for a future meeting, because I hear that this might be coming up more with backflow preventers, more backflow preventers being required, so.
Yeah, this is a little different case, but it's similar. So
Okay.
backflows are required by the state, and so usually the people who own the backflow, they're private, but they are required to get upgraded, not upgraded, but tested and certified. But we could definitely come back at a future board meeting to give a little bit more information.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Are there any other public speakers this evening?
No other requests to speak received.
Okay, thank you. And our first item is special presentation item from General Manager Gumpel.
Yeah, thank you. So we do this quarterly, although we end up skipping a quarter just because of timing. So this is really about a half-year update of new hires and accomplishments. So this is one of my favorite things to do, is to kind of highlight what's going on at the district with some of our staff and the amazing people that we have here and their accomplishments. So starting with the new hires, it's a longer list. We have 10 new hires on this list. That's come in the last 6 months, basically. Eric Makata is construction worker 1. Robbie Leaga, construction worker 1. Julian Alvarez, maintenance service worker. Stephanie Roman Phillips, engineering manager. Arturo Travallo, wastewater treatment plant operator in training. Abdul Bulshet as a wastewater treatment operator in training. Dimas Garcia, construction worker 1. Isaiah Lopez, construction worker 1. Brent Daniel, inspector 1. And Nick Buck, public information representative. Okay, one breath. Also some individual achievement. Julian Rivenderia was awarded the Aqua JPIA HR La Bounty Safety Award, say that 10 times, for recognition for his commitment to workplace safety and excellence by replacing and upgrading all of our eye wash stations here at the headquarters. He also was successful getting a grant through Aqua for retrofitting, a safety grant through JPIA for retrofitting our forklifts with safety sensors. So this way there's a safety sensor before you run into something that beeps. Trevor Partain passes Distribution 5 certification exam. That's the highest level. And we have a great tradition of having high-level certified water operators. And Trevor now joins the team as being a D5 operator. Abdul Boshet obtained his wastewater operator in training grade 1. So he was upgraded from an operator in training to an operator 1 because he passed his exam. And Mitchell Toth was promoted to valve maintenance technician. District Award, CWA Engineering Project of the Year for Metal Lock Treatment Plant, our disinfection system that we're putting in right now, won that award. So a lot of accomplishments over the last 6 months, and I already have a list of next quarter, starting with some more hires and more accomplishments. So it's one of the great things I get to do as general managers, highlight the accomplishments of staff. So.
That's great, thank you. And as I understand it, becoming a certified wastewater operator and going to the next levels, it's a lot of time, right? I mean, it's a lot of time on the job, and you have to pass an exam, so.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, all these certifications and all these awards, it's a time commitment. The district supports it with our continuing education, our certification programs, and it's great to see our employees taking advantage of that. It's a benefit for the employee and also a benefit for the district itself.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
And Nick is here. Welcome, Nick.
Yes, welcome, Nick. Okay, moving to consent calendar items. Are there any directors that would like to pull any of these items? Okay. I would like to recuse myself, if the board secretary could note that I am recusing myself from item 1.7, since one of the consultants on the list is my employer. Can I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Director Elletharp, second by Director Pennick. Please vote. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, public hearing. Public hearing to hear public comments and consider adoption of a resolution approving the sewer fees to be collected on the tax roll for Improvement District A for fiscal year July 1st, 2026 to July 30th, maybe June 30th, 2027. General Manager Gumpel, will you please provide details?
Yes, so before we open the public hearing, I'd like to note that this hearing is for the purpose of receiving public comments on the sewer service fees being collected on the tax roll for Improvement District A. The public hearing will be conducted in the following manner. Staff will provide a presentation. After the presentation, the board will open the public hearing for comments. Each and any speaker that wants to speak will have 3 minutes to ensure everybody has an opportunity to speak. And to ensure an orderly discussion, questions will not be answered during the hearing itself, and staff will address questions after public hearing. Now we have a presentation by our Director of Finance and CFO, Wes Owens.
Thank you, James. Good evening, President KERSCHBAUM, members of the board. I did find a dad joke in the meantime, if you want to hear it. It's why did the smartphone wear glasses? Because it lost all of its contacts.
Oh, good one.
So it's going to be, all right, so this is an annual item brought before the board, and this is a continuation of the item on June 17th, where the board approved Resolution 1717, which elected the method to collect sewer revenues on the tax roll for IDA for the Improvement District. And this serves as a public hearing and approves the collection of the monies so that we can send the information to the county. So with that, if there are no questions, staff recommends adoption of the resolution.
Okay. Yeah, so can I have a motion to proceed with opening the hearing? And a second. Motion by Director Pennick, second by, I think, her name. Director Brown. Please vote. Motion passes. The public hearing is now open. We will hear from anyone who wishes to speak. Do we have any public speakers for this line item?
We have not received any requests to speak for this public hearing item.
Okay, and since there's nobody wishing to address the board, I will now close the public hearing. Any questions from the board about this item?
I just have one question. So this is just a protocol that we do every year?
Yep, we're required annually to bring it before the board to elect to continue to collect these revenues and on the tax roll through that method. So the first meeting is to say, yes, we want to continue to put it on the tax roll. That was done on June 17th. And this meeting now is saying, okay, now we have the amounts and the accounts that we want to collect, and this is listing them and getting them ready to send to the county. So you're approving us sending them to the county now to actually initiate that collection.
Okay. So what happens if somebody meets this criteria in the next year? Are they automatically added to that?
They'll be added to next year's list, I believe. I don't think we do mid-year things. I'll have to look. I think what happens mid-year, and I'm remembering now, mid-year what we do is we would actually bill them through our normal billing process, and then next year we would add them to the tax roll.
Okay, and then it's factored in that they had it for a year and a half, or they just?
Well, we would bill them monthly, so we would bill them for just sewer for a month, for the year that when they start. and then next year we'll put them on the tax roll.
I see, okay, thank you.
And the amount of customers that we add are very few. So this is our sewer-only customers. So they're usually not on any sewer system. Majority of them are on septic and or part of somebody else's sewer system.
And somebody has to actually request to have that just sewer, correct?
No,
Well,
they're actually, there's no sewer in their area for majority. There's just no sewer in their area. There's no
Oh.
pipes, there's no facilities in their area for the majority. Or they already are, sewer's already being serviced by another agency.
Okay,
Sorry, I
Water.
mean, water's being serviced by another agency, so they need sewer from our
but they
agency.
then they automatically
Yes.
get,
Yeah.
okay,
I'm sorry, I misspoke. Water is being serviced by
Yeah,
another agency
right.
and sewer, only sewer for us.
okay, thanks, appreciate it.
Okay, with that, I move that we adopt Resolution 1718, approving the sewer service fees to be collected on the tax roll for Improvement District A for fiscal year July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, second by Director Pennick. Please vote. Motion passes. Thank you. Our next action item is our quarterly water supply update. Chris, come on up. Hopefully it's better than last quarter. Maybe not.
The information or the presentation?
No, I meant the information. Sorry. Thank you for saving me, Director Bennett.
Did he save you?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's all good. General Manager, anything before I start?
No, this is just our normal quarterly update, so to give water supply conditions for the state and locally, so.
Thanks, General Manager. President KERSCHBAUM, board members, so this is your water supply update, kind of the third quarter of the water supply year. The U.S. Drought Monitor is showing quite a bit of abnormally dry conditions throughout the state of California now. So just a short while ago, it was looking very good, and it doesn't really take that long for our state to change, rather dramatically. This is the North Station Sierra 8-station index. The important thing for you to look at is the kind of the royal blue line. It's basically right at the average point, which is, okay. We're not so far below average that it's frightening, but it's not the happy good news we've had in years past. Just a few years ago where that kind of magenta line where we were kind of above those averages. The snow water content's really not looking good. Again, you're looking at the blue lines for the north, central, and southern portions of the Sierra, and just not a lot of water content within the snow. Some of the good news, California reservoir storage is looking really good. I mean, this is, almost the high summer, and as you can see, almost every one of these reservoirs is above its usual point at this particular date in time of the calendar year. So that is a positive. Colorado River status, not so good. There's been some new updates on it. Lake Powell at 24%, Lake Mead at 29%. There's some talk that I think just came out very recently about MWD keeping some of the water in Lake Mead and Lake Powell. So that's a positive for that. But Colorado River is in a rather precarious position. Some of the fun things I wanted to share is I really liked this post on X by National Weather Service. The staff person noted that, this morning they were getting snow, and he checks his calendar, June 28th, snow in Tamarack and Brundage in Idaho. So very different, strange weather conditions that we're seeing at different times of the year that normally we would not see. Some of the unusual weather patterns again in Idaho. I have a short video if a general manager will indulge me at the end. It's a 25-second video, but hailstorm up in Idaho that's kind of shocking to see. 3-month temperature outlook, above normal for us, for San Diego and most of California. And then the seasonal precipitation outlook, this is a little bit of a surprise, above normal expected for Southern California. So that's some positive news for us. So that includes my presentation. I'll return in October at the end of the water year with an additional update, and we'll start looking to the new water year. Any questions before I show the little quick video?
Excellent presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mark, can you run that for me?
While Mark gets that ready, just one thing to put a little perspective, the Colorado system is significantly larger than the California system, and San Diego gets most of its water from Colorado. The California system has about a year, a little bit over a year's worth of storage within its reservoirs, and most of the storage is in snowpack. The Colorado system says, and this is old numbers, but it is somewhere between 6 to 8 years of storage within its reservoirs. And with those reservoirs being that low, it takes a lot longer to refresh them. So even though you see the good news in California, the impact of that is a smaller impact, especially to the San Diego region, than the Colorado system.
Seen it's so bad. It's literally, that is a pile of hail that has come off of our roof. My truck's okay.
Look in the street.
Whoa. What the heck is going on? Dude.
So that's June 28th in Meridian, Idaho, and that's hail going down the street. There's that much hail that it's a river flow of hail going down the gutters on June 28th in Meridian, Idaho.
Wild weather.
Yes. And that concludes my presentation. Thanks, General Manager, for letting me show that video, because it's my son-in-law, and I promised him I'd show it here.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next agenda item is, do we have any public speakers?
Thank you. We've not received any requests to speak on this item.
And are there any questions or comments from the board? No? Okay. No action is required on this item. The next item on the agenda is request approval of cross-connection compliance and backflow prevention program software agreement with NJBSOFT LLC.
Yeah, so this presentation will be conducted by staff. Chris Tapia, which is our purchasing utility billing manager, will be presenting with Wes next to him providing support.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board and members of the public. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to present on this item regarding cross-connection compliance software with NJBSOFT LLC. That's the parent company to SAM's cross-connection platform. Thank you for loading that presentation. The district that has a backflow and cross-connection compliance department that uses a third-party software to help administer a state-required program. Our program currently covers approximately 4,000 backflow devices across the district. Each of those devices must be tested at least once per calendar year to remain in compliance. What makes this program unique is that compliance is not something the district does on its own. We are dependent on our customers to hire a certified tester and to have that tester complete and upload the test to our portal every year. The software is more than just record keeping. It's a communication and compliance tool. It's how we track testing status. It's how we ensure that we have the data necessary to compile reports for the state. And it's how we communicate with customers regarding their compliance status. For the past 9 years, the district has used BSI, Backflow Solutions Incorporated, as our software to help maintain state compliance. In January of 26, 2 firms were invited to demonstrate their software, NJB SAMS They received the highest evaluation score based on their ability to integrate with our district's North Star utility billing system. Their simplified reporting, their improved customer communication tools, and intuitive user interface helped them gain that evaluation score. SAM's communication tools include email and text notification, as well as a tester and customer-facing portal. Those will help the public communicate directly with district staff. And those enhancements, we believe, will help us improve our compliance rate. Staff has negotiated a proposed software as a service and implementation services agreement with NJBSOFT. We're targeting a January 1, 2027 go live date as we run our current software in parallel from July through December. The fiscal impact is something worth highlighting. The proposed agreement with NJBSOFT is projected to save the district approximately $101,000 over the next 3 years when compared to what the district has paid for BACKFLOW software over the previous 3-year period. This figure does account for a one-time cost of $20,000 to keep BSI running from July through December, as well as a $8,000 implementation cost for SAMS. As we close out 2026, the district will focus on the transition to SAMS so it can be fully built and tested before we go live. Looking beyond the transition period, on an ongoing basis, this contract is expected to save the district approximately $53,000 per year. Unlike BSI's per device pricing, SAM's prices are a population tier based, and based off the district's reported population with the State Drinking Water Information System, our current population of 113,000 places us safely in the 100 to 200,000 population tier, with plenty of room to grow without adding additional costs to the contract. That means our costs stay flat as new BACKFLOW devices are added to the system. With that, staff recommends the board authorize the general manager to execute our software as a service and implementation services agreement with NJBSOFT. If approved, again, we're targeting January 1st for go live, as that calendar year ties to the compliance year for BACKFLOW. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that presentation. Could you just give an overview, Chris, on what exactly this software does?
It's going to store, we're going to transfer all of our data for customer information and BACKFLOW device, make, model, size, serial from our billing system into this platform. And there we will track status of due dates. Was the device tested this calendar year, yes or no? If so, did it pass? Did it fail? Was the device replaced? That kind of data allows us to compile the numbers necessary for our electronic annual report, which is due every year.
And that's to the state?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, state EAR. Section 10 is BACKFLOW, and the numbers necessary to fill out that state report come from our BACKFLOW software.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I had just a couple questions. So we've had BSI for 9 years, right?
Yes.
How many people on our staff does this affect that have to be retrained and learn a new software program?
Not as many as you'd think. We have only 2 cross-connection control certified staff members, and those 2 are primarily the users in BSI.
Okay. And then does the new SAMS software, does it have more bells and whistles than BSI, or?
So the texting and email and customer portals that I spoke to from SAMS, those are functions our current system does not have.
Okay, okay.
It's great for compiling data, and it's got a ton of templates in there if we wanted to print physical copies and mail those out, but it does not currently support email, text, or a engagement portal.
Okay. And are there any other water districts that are using this similar software?
SAMS, yes. The most recent is City of Sacramento, and their cross-connection coordinator, he's actually the Cal Nevada AWWA backflow chair, and he just recently went with SAMS. They went live in January. We called upon them as a reference check. Glendale in California. They're not largely represented in California, but they are picking up more agencies recently.
Okay, yeah. Wow, thanks for all the research.
Yeah.
Couple questions, Jeff. Just clarifications, also in light of Mrs. Gutierrez. So SAMS, I'm still trying to get, so SAMS is the actual program and we're using NJBSOFT? and
No,
we're using BSI?
I got confused too.
Yeah.
I've always only known it as SAMS.
Yeah, what is it?
As we got into contract negotiations, it turns out NJBSOFT is the parent company to SAMS. They offer multiple modules from asset management to fog, fats, oil, grease, pre-treatment,
Okay.
a plethora of modules.
So NJBSOFT is the parent company,
Yes.
SAMS is the program for the backflow.
We're only contracting with them for their backflow portion of their portfolio.
Okay,
So,
okay, I want to see the difference between SAMS and NJBSOFT, okay, okay.
Right, yeah, it's, so that's the difference there.
Okay, and just so I can just, and again, in light with, thank you for being here, by the way. I think you did a great job in your presentation and your comments. Notification that goes to customer, there's only 4,000, and most of them, I'm guessing, are out by the Tres Amigos line?
The bulk, it depends on the hazard at each property. So any of our irrigation connections, those are required to have a backflow.
Okay.
Most commercial, industrial, institutional accounts, you're gonna find a backflow. All of our fire services. But some of the more rural areas, depending on what hazards we find at the property, will deem a backflow required.
Okay, and that's to protect the integrity of our system?
Correct. It's to preserve any contaminants or pollutants to be
Go back in.
siphoned back into our system and sent downstream.
So totally understand that. Clarification on one notification to those where they're going to have a backflow installed. I mean, is that something that's sent out months in advance saying, hey, we need to do this to protect the integrity of our system? What kind of notification is sent out as far as when and how much?
Well, prior to notification, we're going to conduct a hazard assessment to identify if a backflow is warranted or not.
Gotcha.
And part of what happened at the Tres Amigos project, the district paid for a third party to come out and conduct those hazard assessments for us.
On our dime?
Yeah, I believe so. And if a hazard was found that justified installation, then I believe we even paid for the installation.
Of the backflow device?
Chris, can you, just really high level, kind of just go over the new state or the state requirements on backflow that's kind of creating a domino effect that is affecting more than one customer, but customers like Ms. Gutierrez?
Like single-family residents.
Where the hazard assessment and the backflow requirements that have gotten more stringent, so there's more people that are gonna get backflows is what ends up happening. So, and those backflows are required by the state of California, and at the end of the day, the customer is responsible for those backflows.
And so while you're doing that, because my follow-up question is, you said it was unique in that the customer's responsible for doing an annual inspection at about 150, and they need to, that inspection agency needs to report that to the district. I mean, and if they don't, what's the repercussions? How do they enforce that? Kind of hit that from that high level request.
Well, going back to the legislation, backflow regulatory requirements used to live in Title 17. They've since been broken out into the new cross-connection control policy handbook, where the requirements have been bolstered a bit. But part of the new cross-connection control policy handbook requires a hazard assessment to be done at every single one of our connections across the districts. Not just us, but for all utilities. So we're going to start there with the hazard assessment, and if a hazard justifies installation, then we'll move towards that notice to install a backflow.
And we install that at our cost?
Actually, part of the Tres Amigos, that was something we went above and beyond to do, but installation is at the customer's expense.
Really? At an average cost of?
It really depends on the size of the backflow, depends on the
I mean,
location.
we're talking hundreds, thousands?
If you have a fire service that's below ground that needs to become above ground, it can be multiple thousands of dollars.
Okay.
If you have a single-family home that is a 3/4 inch line, it can be much, much less.
Okay, thank you. And then the follow-up, as far as annual inspection, so say, I'm the neighbor to Ms. Gutierrez, and I have one of these backflows, and every year I get, hey, you gotta contact an inspection agency, they will send the report to us, so we comply, and they don't, and I don't contact them, and there's no report given. Do I get a fine? What happened?
We, based off our policy, yes, we have the option to add fees to the bill, but with the software, we notice when someone goes beyond their due date. Currently we send 4 physical letters to the property. We also hand deliver a notice to the property. We make multiple attempts at phone calls.
And then eventually it has to get done, so it's done almost like a forced inspection, we pay for that? Do I pay for that?
In years past, the district has paid for a tester to complete that test on the customer's behalf.
And then we're billed?
Disconnection is always an option that's built into our policy, our
Gotcha.
ordinance.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to, yeah, and this is not at the district's request, I mean, this is all to stay compliant with regulations at the state level.
Correct.
Interesting.
We do the best we can to avoid disconnection. That is the absolute last resort.
Yeah, at the base of it, there's a state requirement that says that if there's a hazard, we cannot allow that hazard to continue to be connected to the public system, to safeguard the public system from spraying that hazard to others.
Interesting. No, yeah, it's making sense. Thank you. You explained it very well. Thank you.
Thank you for those questions, Director Pennick. I was thinking the same thing, so I'm glad that you asked all those questions. And I mean, it is a state mandate, but it's also something that's protecting our system and the rest of our customers. So, I mean, I would say that it's something that's good for our agency. Okay, so any other questions or comments about, and this action item is, again, just to approve the software company to be tracking all of the backflow preventers. So with that, I will make a motion to authorize the GM to execute a software service and implementation services agreement with NJBSOFT with an initial 3-year term and 2 1-year options to extend. Could I have a second?
I'll second that with, and never mentioned, thank you for going to shopping and it's saving, I mean, because like over the year, what was it, 150K over 3 years or?
101,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
So
huge.
I second that with a thank you for, after 9 years with the same carrier, then moving to a new 3-year contract with savings is nice, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Agree. Please vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, our next action item is to request approval of a contract amendment for planning, design, and implementation support of EV charging infrastructure. General Manager Gumpel.
Yeah, so this item has been kind of in the works for a while, and the district's been working towards meeting the state mandates for electrification of our fleet vehicles. So with that, Eric Bennett, our Director of Operations, will be giving a presentation, an update on where we are today and the steps moving forward. With that, Eric, I'll hand it over to you.
Good evening, directors and President KERSCHBAUM. My time this evening will be to share our progress on the district's fleet electrification journey. At the end of this presentation, I will be asking the Board of Directors to approve Amendment Number 1 with NB5 to finalize design on the district's EV charging infrastructure. As mentioned, I'm here to give a review of the district's fleet electrification project. This includes a brief reminder of the regulation driving these projects, which is CARB's Advanced Clean Fleets, or the ACF. We'll also cover the SDG&E Power Your Drive for Fleets incentive program and how it applies to the district. After that, we'll review how the district has responded and our progress so far. Then we'll dive into the next phases of this project and look at what is needed to push this across the finish line and what the fiscal impact associated with crossing that line is. The Advanced Clean Fleets, aligning with California's 2045 vision for a zero-emission future, CARB passed the Advanced Clean Fleets regulation to phase out medium and heavy-duty internal combustion vehicles by transitioning fleets to zero-emission vehicles wherever feasible. Starting on January 1st, 2024, the ACF mandate applied to on-road vehicles weighing more than 8,500 pounds or more, such as a Ford F-250 or a Chevy 2500, so vehicles that size and larger. The regulation requires fleet owners to increasingly adopt zero-emission vehicles as part of their operations. For state and local public agencies, including cities, counties, and special districts like ours, the requirements begin with a 50% zero-emission vehicle purchase. This ramps up to a full 100% zero-emission vehicle requirement in January 1st, 2027. These aggressive targets are designed to improve air quality across California and to be an incentive for vehicle manufacturers to invest in zero-emission vehicles and therefore broadening the purchase options for agencies like us.
Just, can I interrupt you real quick for a question? So the MDHG, that's a medium duty and heavy duty, those just 50% of those vehicles.
Correct.
Now, and then 100% in a year.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Purchases, not usage.
Purchases, correct. So it doesn't apply to vehicles we already own. Correct. Major update to the Advanced Clean Fleets regulation is Assembly Bill 1594, which provides flexibility, ensuring state regulations do not disrupt the core functions of public utilities. This includes water districts, wastewater providers, and electric utilities. The bill eases exemption requirements and requires CARB to allow agencies to purchase traditional combustion engine replacements for specialized work vehicles if a comparable zero-emission vehicle is not available or cannot supply daily operations or disaster response or help in emergency mutual aid. CARB enforces compliance using a combination of administrative actions and financial deterrence. Penalties are determined based on the severity of the violation, the size of the fleet, and whether a good faith effort was made to comply. Minor administrative issues like late record keeping or record keeping errors carry lower baseline penalties, whereas intentionally adding non-compliant internal combustion vehicles into service carries the highest statutory fines. Under California Health and Safety Codes, civil penalties for air quality regulation violations can range from $1,000 to tens of thousands of dollars per day per vehicle found out of compliance. But CARB's most effective enforcement mechanism is placing a registration hold through the DMV. Non-compliant internal combustion vehicles cannot have their registrations renewed, which legally grounds the equipment because they cannot operate on public streets. Moving on, now we'll talk about the SDG&E Power Your Drive for Fleets program. The SDG&E program, this intends to aid in the increase and adoption of medium-duty and heavy-duty electric vehicles by funding, constructing, and maintaining electrical infrastructure, as well as offering rebates on charging equipment. The program supports compliance with the Advanced Clean Fleets regulation by reducing the upfront costs of grid upgrades, allowing public agencies and commercial fleets to transition to zero-emission vehicles more rapidly. Participants who commit to purchasing at least 2 medium or heavy-duty electric fleet vehicles provide an electrification growth plan, execute a contract with SDG&E, and share charger usage data for more than 5 years, and maintain the infrastructure for more than 10. Under the program, there are 2 options for compliance. Option 1 is where SDG&E owns all of the infrastructure except the chargers. Under this option, SDG&E will design, fund, and construct all infrastructure upgrades and will also require the district providing SDG&E easements on district property for their equipment to be installed and maintained. Option 2 is more of a traditional utility-customer relationship, and this is the option we have elected for, where SDG&E will own everything up to the electric meter, and we will own everything afterwards, which includes the transformers, control panels, and the charging equipment itself. As mentioned earlier, one of the benefits of this program is funding assistance. When the program is utilized, SDG&E will commit to a reimbursement of costs up to 80% related to the installation of the customer side infrastructure. So upon learning of the regulation, staff partnered with energy management consulting firm Terra Verde to assist with compliance in the early stages of the regulation. This included Terra Verde creating a 15-year vehicle compliance plan, assisting with data requirements for initial reporting, as well as identifying possible incentive opportunities for vehicle purchases. With the initial reporting complete, staff reviewed our plan and determined it necessary to move forward with a measured approach toward electrifying parts of our fleet. This included analyzing our current fleet composition and right-sizing vehicles where applicable, such as downsizing vehicles to under the 8,500 pound threshold where it makes sense. This also included submitting an RFP to 3 consulting firms, Black & Veatch, NV5, and to Terra Verde, to assist the district with developing the data required to participate in the SDG&E Power Your Drive program. Out of the 3 firms, NV5 was selected based on experience, proposal completeness and responsiveness. To date, NV5 has helped the district by creating the 30% design plans needed for the SDG&E program. They've updated the district's 15-year purchase plan to a 10-year program or a 10-year purchase plan needed for SDG&E. They've created single line diagrams for charging equipment, which includes a new 1200 amp switchboard, step down transformers, and they also calculated the charging capacity needed to meet the purchase plan. As mentioned, the district is taking a very cautious and measured and phased approach with this project. The project is laid out into 3 phases, beginning with the 5-year phase, or phase 1A, which will include a total of 12 chargers. The next phase, phase 1B, or the 10 years, will include an additional 6 chargers, and then the 10+ years phase, or phase 2, including an additional 24 chargers if we ever get to that point. And one thing to note, phase 1B and phase 2 are completely optional and at the district's discretion of when or if we implement them. The decision will be based on our fleet needs, fleet composition, and regulations at the time. Along with this, NV5 developed costs for the first phases, which is roughly $1.8 million for construction of all of phase 1, as well as the conduit pole boxes, concrete pads for all of phase 1B, making that future installation cheaper. Along with the construction cost, a possible reimbursement from SDG&E was also calculated, which is estimated to be roughly $800,000. This would bring construction costs after reimbursement to roughly $950,000. With that said, keep in mind that these are preliminary estimates, and we'll have a better understanding of the numbers after we hear back from SDG&E and as the project progresses further. As mentioned before, NV5 developed a conceptual design, which we see on the next slide, and layout of the district's charging equipment, which will have capacity for 19 medium and heavy duty vehicles. Examples of these vehicles listed in our 5-year purchase plan include the new CCTV camera van, which we have just submitted the PO for and hope to get that in the next 6 months or so. A couple of Chevy Silverados EVs or something similar, an E-Transit work body or something similar, and a Chevy Blazer, which technically doesn't qualify for the advanced clean fleets, but it makes sense for a pool car when we have to replace one. The possibility, and also includes the possibility of a large dump truck around the year 2030, which they currently do make and are in operation, but we'd like to give the technology a little bit more time to get there. A graph of the district's 10-year EV purchase plan is located on the bottom right-hand corner of this slide and shows the number and type of EV purchases through 2036. So with the plan now laid out and all of the data requirements met, the district has officially submitted its Power Your Drive application to SDG&E, and it's currently under review, and we hope to hear back soon. This brings us to the next stages of the project. To finalize this project and to see it through to construction, staff asked NV5 for a proposal that includes final design and electric vehicle charging infrastructure technical specifications. Staff also asked NV5 to include a design for an emergency charging system to be utilized during power outages or emergency situations. The proposal received included additional support for bid walks, RFI review and response, assistance during construction proposal reviews, and assistance on choosing a charging management software, which would be all new to everybody here, as well as implementation support for construction, oversight, and commissioning, and then continued coordination with SDG&E as our Power Your Drive journey continues. The proposed fee for the final design implementation support for this project from NV5 is $208,600. As mentioned on the previous slide, NV5 completed a layout of the district charging infrastructure, and the layout can be seen on the top right corner of this slide. And let me bring the mouse over here. So this is an aerial view of the district's fleet parking lot. This is Building B over here, the operations building, and Building A would be somewhere right around where my mouse is. As you can see, it also has the plan laid out in 3 phases, phase 1A, 1B, and 2. 1A is the phase that we would be currently designing for and installing, and that is noted by the dark green and dark orange. The green notes level 2 charging, and each of the dots would be where a charger is placed, which would be right in front of building B, and then also right in front of building B right there. And then the dark orange would be the level 3 chargers, which would be something for the larger utility trucks when they do come. Additionally, at the bottom of this slide, you'll see some examples of the charging equipment that will be installed, or could be installed, I should say. One of these is the dual port charging pedestal, pretty common. The district signed up for, or listed ChemPower, which these are pictures of, as the provider for our charging equipment. And the next picture is the single port charging cable arm, and these are pretty unique items when we do eventually, or if we ever get to that point. These would be installed under the carport shades, kind of on the top right or top left of that picture. And those are installed at the top of the shade so large vehicles can pull in and out without damaging the infrastructure. They pull in, they pull the cable arm down, plug in their vehicle, charge, pull it out, put the cable arm back up, and they can pull in and out. So with NV5's assistance, NV5's assistance will enable us to complete this project through construction and implementation, while also offering the district a compliance solution for the Advanced Clean Fleets regulation. This support will ensure the district fulfills its regulatory requirements, avoids fines and penalties, and achieves its strategic goal of environmental stewardship. The fleet electrification project is identified in the district's fiscal year 26-27 budget. Funding for the project will come from both water replacement funds and sewer replacement funds. The total budget for the project is $2,463,000. Previous expenditures come in at $173,000, which include the assistance from Terra Verde for the initial compliance and reporting, and NV5, which has got us to the point where we are today. Totaling that with NV5's amendment number 1 for final design and implementation support, coming in at $208,600. Estimated staff and labor, roughly $75,000, with a contingency of $21,000. The subtotal for this phase of the project is $477,460, leaving roughly $2 million remaining in the budget, which is about right considering the construction estimates for phase 1 installation are roughly $1.8 million. With that, staff recommends the Board of Directors authorize the General Manager to execute Amendment Number 1 with NV5 for the planning, design, and implementation support for the electric vehicle charging infrastructure project in the amount of $208,600, subject to the terms and conditions of the agreement. And thank you for your time, and I will take any questions you have.
Thank you, Eric. It's a lot of information, and I think there's going to be questions from probably every one of us, so get comfortable. I had a very simple question just on the contract with NV5. So this amendment for 208,000, does that take us all the way, is that for all of phase one? Like, so that, is that a 3-year type contract with NV5?
So this amendment with NV5 would put us all the way through to the end of construction and commissioning. The goal is to have design wrapped up by the end of this calendar year.
Okay.
Bid documents ready and out to bid by March, April next year. Construction starting summer next year in 2027. And they are estimating that construction will only last about 2 to 3 months tops. So this amendment technically would only put us through, a year from now.
Yeah, so that does get us through design and I don't know about construction phase service, but at least design for phase 1A and 1B.
Okay.
Correct? But not phase 2.
Correct. Phase 2 is completely optional at this point.
And then the 1.9 million that's left in the budget after all the design, that would be for construction of phase 1A and 1B.
Correct.
Which we might get 800K. So that could be like $1 million instead of 1 point.
Roughly. Again, though, that is an estimated number. We'll.
Oh, okay.
So as I said earlier, the SDG&E will reimburse up to 80%. It's solely dependent on what their calculations come back.
Okay, and then I guess I had a few more questions than just that simple one. But so then my next question is, so the 800K that SDG&E might be giving us in grant money, that is for everything past the meter, right?
Correct.
And so they are already going to pay for all of the infrastructure coming to us from their grid.
Correct. All of SDG&E's infrastructure upgrades, if any, if we need new transformers, they need to put, upgrade their power lines, that is all coming out of SDG&E costs, and we would not be accountable for that.
And are they going to run conduit all the way to like wherever our meter is? So that's all going to be them? That's
Correct.
separate? Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Who's next? Director Hernandez.
It's my understanding that Steve Hilton, who is running for governor, in his platform, he discussed eliminating this requirement. And I'm wondering if we can hold off on this approval until after the election to see if in fact that happens. And that way we don't have to spend the money, SDG&E doesn't have to spend the money. If this requirement is eliminated through executive order, then we're home free, we don't have to worry about it.
And the good news is we'll have time, so, because right now, all we're doing is authorizing the design. We're still quite a bit away from actually spending the real money in construction. So if something were to happen, we could always pivot. There's also other exemptions and bills that have been put forward by like CSDA or CASA to try to increase the exemptions. So all those things are still in play, and we have time to pivot because we're not starting construction today. So, matter of fact, what is the estimated time of the design before we'd even start construction?
If approved tonight, design is estimated to be complete by the end of this calendar year.
Okay, well, we should know something shortly thereafter.
I would hope so, yeah.
Okay.
Director Bennett?
Yes, thank you for that presentation. Let me preface my remarks just by saying these comments and opinions are not those expressly of Jim Pennick, solely,
Sorry.
but of those that live within my district, and just, questions, concerns about the project. Thank you. It's interesting, to say the least. As far as just the information coming out, I know you don't have all of it here. Have we done anything as far as cost of electricity to charge these vehicles down the road? Probably maintenance savings, because we're not going to have to maintain a lot of the vehicles because they're computers driving on the road instead of vehicles with lots of moving parts. Gas savings, maintenance savings, as opposed to electricity cost. Have we done any of that?
No, I have not.
Okay, no, we don't know any of the savings or costs. I mean, to be honest, yeah, SDG&E is super happy to do all this work. They're almost like they'll give you a free phone because the money's not in the phone, it's in the service to the phone. So I know our electricity bill is gonna go way up.
Well, I will say that the charging infrastructure or electric vehicle charging, those services are a completely separate service, and they are on their own specific rate that doesn't have tiered charging. So when you.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good thing considering we would be charging during peak hours.
Right.
For the most part.
So it's just a separate charging for your vehicle rate?
And so all of that, all of the costs for charging would be separate from what our normal facilities would use.
Okay. And how long have our gas vehicles been operating? I mean, how many miles do we put on those roughly?
It depends on the vehicle.
200K or?
Yeah, we have a Ford F-150 from 1996.
Okay. Do we know how long EV, I mean, I know the maintenance is gonna be lower, but to replace a vehicle, it's gonna, but you don't have to maintain it, but eventually, my understanding is, again, there's not enough data. You have to replace it. There's no fixing it. Replace the batteries isn't, you have to buy a new one. Do we know how many hours or miles or anything these e-vehicles go, this new e-dump truck or
Well, I do know that there are, I mean, not having an electric vehicle myself, and this is purely just reading articles about EVs. I do know that there are EVs out there with over 200,000 miles on them.
Okay.
With, obviously, the battery does degrade over time, but what vehicle wouldn't degrade over time at that amount of miles?
Right, okay. And I know I'm getting into the weeds a little bit, but these were questions when posed to some of my cohorts. And the last thing, and I like the words you use, and I agree with this, a cautious, measured, phased approach. Very cautiously, very measured, for multiple reasons, like Director Hernandez brought up. We don't know if we're gonna have to do this just because we wanna, be, good
Correct.
stewards of the environment, or because we're complying with government.
Correct, exactly. Going into design now, I mean, getting it complete will help us comply if things don't change. But if they do, we can always pivot in the future.
Okay, thank you. And just one last question. Talking about being good stewards of the environment, yeah, we all want to do that. Is there enough data that shows that electrification of a fleet is actually reducing emissions when, producing batteries and things like that, adds to and things like that? I mean, I know I'm getting into environmental questions, but is there enough data to say that actually emissions in California has decreased because of electrification of certain fleets?
I think the way that's viewed is the greenhouse emissions of an electric vehicle compared to the greenhouse emissions of operating a gas vehicle is differential. I think what you're asking is the total life cycle, including producing the electric vehicle.
Correct.
But that is not what the regulations is basing the criteria on, unfortunately. So we can't really answer that question. All we can say is yes, a gas vehicle or a diesel vehicle, an ICE vehicle is going to put out more greenhouse emissions than an electric vehicle in operation, but the emissions don't actually calculate or consider that other portion of producing the battery or disposing the battery.
So there's just not enough data to see that, yes, we're, excuse the term, saving the environment by electrifying. We just don't know yet, right?
All we can say is we're producing less greenhouse gases in agency
With
locally.
the usage of an e-vehicle, not with the whole big picture. Is that fair?
On the road, correct.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Director Alathar?
Yeah, I was wondering, do we have a project to replace our worn out solar panels?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Director Alpart. So we do have a project. Our solar panels have reached their end of life, and we'll be, I don't know how much we have budgeted for this fiscal year, but over the next couple fiscal years, as our electricity use profile gets clearer, we're going to try and at least see where the cost benefit of that is, leverage it. Obviously, the solar panel, photovoltaic panel incentives and grants are no longer as lucrative or as generous as they were in the past. But if we can make a business case for it, we plan on bringing it to committee and board once we have that information.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's a way to maybe incorporate it in this project.
Yeah, we can't incorporate it into this exact project, but we could definitely see about going out for separate type of grant funding or separate type of sharing and see where that cost benefit would occur. And like I said, I don't believe we have a lot of money scheduled for it, but we are keeping the project alive and then pushing it forward.
Okay, thanks.
Director Brown?
All right, I have a couple of things. if this project moves forward, do we have anything done yet other than just a plan?
No,
Okay.
no.
But do we have an electric charging vehicle for the truck?
We have one EV
One.
right now. We have a Ford Lightning, and it came with the charger that we have installed on our
Okay.
buildings.
Sorry, can I interrupt you real quick? Is the Ford Lightning, is that a medium-duty truck?
No, it's considered, well, it is considered a medium-duty truck, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, thank you.
That's okay. So it's only when you're buying new vehicles, right?
Correct.
And if there are no other vehicles that are low or zero EV, right?
Correct. So it's a 50% rule. So if we needed to purchase, say, a new 350 with a service body and a crane for some reason, we would have to purchase a qualifying EV to offset that 50% rule. So a Ford Lightning or something similar would help offset that.
So I think I read something in the information packet about lifespan of a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So who determines that? Us?
Initially, so when the regulation first came out, they did put a limit on miles and years on it.
Okay.
But what part of Assembly Bill was that 1594 reduced was that the part where it says at the end of their life cycle, which means we no longer have to replace it at a certain point. It's when we say it's done.
And just to clarify one thing about life cycle for district vehicles, it's a little different than what you may think about as for personal vehicles. Because some of our vehicles, even though they may not have a high mileage, they're idling and they're running because they're running equipment, they're running tools.
Okay.
So the engines are running for way more hours than the actual miles on the odometer. So it's not an apples to apples depending on the type of vehicle compared to what you would do for your personal vehicle.
Okay, thank you. And then what happens to all the old vehicles?
That we currently own.
Yeah,
If we replace a vehicle, our old vehicles go up for auction.
okay. Do we recoup any of that or just, it just goes away?
No, we get the auction proceeds.
Okay. On the reimbursements from SDG&E, does that happen, it happens at the very end, right?
Correct.
Not until the project is in place? And then, so is that, like if we did this in phases, do we wait till the end of phase 3 to get reimbursement? Or if you complete phase 1, do you get partially reimbursed?
You would complete phase 1 and get reimbursed for that.
Okay.
And that would be the extent of it. Because, as mentioned in the presentation, the project, if it were to go to construction, would install all of the infrastructure for phase 1A and the infrastructure for phase 1B, but not the physical chargers. It wouldn't pull the wires. But what that would do, it would make, if we had to install more chargers, it would make expanding our EV fleet much cheaper in the long run.
Okay. And then my last question is, so as we're doing this, who monitors this stuff to make sure that we're in compliance? Us?
Well, yes, myself and mechanical maintenance manager Mueller, wow, 4 M's. We monitor our fleet and we submit all new vehicle additions that qualify for this regulation, so everything 8,500 pounds and above. The state requires us to report all new additions or deductions from the fleet within 30 days. And every year, CARB runs an audit to see if we've added internal combustion vehicle, and if so, if we've added a zero emission vehicle. And if we haven't, we'll be out of compliance, and that's when the enforcement can begin.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have one more thing. So once construction begins on site, is it going to impact staff and their ability to get things done? If we have a whole crew working with other building new things?
Mm-hmm. Well, as with any construction project, there will be some impacts to staff's ability to say park right in front of the building to run in and grab something. But we have plenty of open spaces and areas for our staff to park, so I don't anticipate it being too great of an impact.
Yeah, we'd end up phasing it so to move personal vehicles and district vehicles around, allow contractor to finish work before we move that back.
Okay, great.
I have-
Thank you.
I have one more question. Is there a deadline with which we need to accomplish the design and/or put this into implementation?
Well, the 100% deadline, as the regulation currently stands, is 100% electric purchases starting January 1st, 2027. So that would mean if the next fiscal year, we need to budget for vehicles and try to purchase vehicles next July, they would have to be 100% EV if they met this 8,500 pound threshold and above.
Right, but if we held off on this agreement until after the first of the year, we wouldn't be in trouble with anybody about meeting deadlines.
Technically, no. It would just put us farther behind on being able to replace our fleet when needed.
I got a question, Erica, just as clarification on it. With the SDG&E grant portion of it, is there a deadline for us to move forward, or else we miss out on the possibility of getting the grant?
Correct. Thank you for bringing that up, General Manager. Yes, actually, the SDG&E funding, the program has officially closed. It closed on June 30th this year. And we had our application in just before the deadline. So if we choose not to sign the contract with SDG&E, the funding does go away.
So basically, the main risk for us is if we have to do this in compliance, the potential for the grant won't be there if we delay. If we move forward in good faith with the project, then we'll end up having some expenditures of up to $200,000 for the design if something happens at the state level that we can pause it. So it's a risk of potentially losing the grant funding and still having to move forward with the full project without grant funding.
Yeah.
That's directly from SDG&E, not from the state.
Correct.
All right.
Okay, if there's no other,
Well, I guess
sorry,
one comment
sorry.
before we go to the
Director
motion.
Panic.
So right now, if we decide to replace a vehicle based on need, usage, it's based on your knowledge, the GM's knowledge, what we need, we can choose to buy an electric vehicle, we can choose to buy a
It's
gas vehicle.
50-50 right now.
But I mean, just right now, without the compliant thing, just not even to be compliant, just we use our own knowledge, our own common sense to replace a vehicle, and that's what we've done in the past.
Oh, correct, yes.
Correct.
In the past, we rely on mileage, maintenance costs, this just status of the vehicle, how it currently is,
Right.
the usage of it. That's how we've historically done
We
it.
do our research, we find out what would be best for the district to use.
Mhm.
Now we have to do it to comply with certain requirements coming down from the state level, not so much our own common sense and our own knowledge, but to comply. Is that fair to say?
No, we still is up to, correct me if I'm wrong, please.
I mean, based on the past
It's
decisions.
still up to us to pull the trigger on when to replace a vehicle. So the state's not saying you need to replace a vehicle at 10 years or X amount of miles. So if we have a vehicle that's 20 years old, still operating well, and it's a gas-powered vehicle and still doing the job that we need and we don't have concerns with it, the district does not have to replace it.
But if we do need to replace it, we need to replace it with an e-vehicle.
If you need to replace it under the current rules unless they change something, it's 50%. So you have to buy a medium or heavy-duty vehicle that is battery electric or some other alternative source, power source, and a gas vehicle or diesel vehicle. And then in the future, it will be 100% electric.
All right, okay. I mean, it just seems like, okay, in the past, we used our own knowledge, what's best for the district. Now, our own knowledge plus compliance
Correct.
to, instead of whatever's truly best for the district based on our own common experience, hundreds of years of experience.
Correct, yes, it will include our knowledge, but we will also have to take into account the additional purchase.
Thank you, just a comment.
So, I just wanted to make a comment that, just looking strictly at this motion, and I'm gonna support this motion just because in my mind, the risk is greater of losing that grant funding than the cost is of the amendment with NV5. So that is why I'm going to be supporting. And so with that, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the GM to execute amendment number 1 with NV5.
I'll second that.
Okay, please vote. Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
All right, reports. General Manager.
Just a few items. So just a reminder, next Thursday is our employee appreciation lunch. We'd love it to see all board members there if you can make it. If you need any time or coordination, please contact Kirsten and we'll give you exact times if you can make part of it or all of it. So as the board may recall, we do have a catered lunch, and then we have a presentation of service awards, a small presentation this year by the general manager thanking staff, and then opportunity for the board to speak to staff also.
12 to 2-ish?
I don't know the exact time. 11:30, sorry, starting at 11:30 to 1:30-ish. So, we're working on a schedule for the board retreat. So we're hoping for some time late August, early September if needed. And we'll also be reaching out for some things that the board's interested in. It's more of an open forum. It's a good opportunity to have open conversation that may be on individual board members' mind. Staff will be presenting some things at the board retreat, including our tactical initiatives, how did we do, our plan moving forward, and some of the items that were brought up during my evaluation that the board wanted to see. So we'll be presenting that at the retreat. But the remainder of the retreat, which is over half of it, is really an open dialogue and discussion for the board. So just planting the seed now, so this way when you get the email about ideas, then we can start gathering that and seeing if we have too many ideas to fit a 2-hour block or if we have not enough. So, and then, let's see. Oh, I just wanted to mention one thing. He's not here, but Paul Cosmano, our GIS technician, is retiring this week. He has 39 years of service at this district, which is the current record. We do have an employee, I think, with 37 that may beat him, but right now Paul is the record holder that I know of. So he is 39 years, and I just wanted to make a public announcement congratulating him for his years of service.
He's not
It's
going to go to
amazing.
40?
You know, he's good at 39, so he's happy at 39, which is amazing. And you have to remember, we've had a couple of employees recently that have retired around 35 years. So, and I thought that was a long time, but 39. So, anyway, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. District Legal Counsel. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you. So I wanted to talk about the article that was in today's Union Tribune about water rates. It focused on the city of San Diego, but it also talked about the implications for other water agencies in California. So as a result of a recent case against the city, the case was called Pats versus City of San Diego. The city is having to revise its water rates to eliminate its tiered rate structure. The article talked about the broader uncertainty that the case has for water agencies throughout California. The city had initially adopted its tiered water rates based on the different sources of supply that the city had and the cost associated with those different sources of supply. But ultimately, the court didn't find that to be a legal justification for the city's methodology for its tiered rates. The article talks a lot, it uses the term conservation rates, or talks a lot about conservation. Conservation by itself is not like a policy justification that a board could use to establish tiered rates. There have to be, under Prop 218, other reasons that can be supported by data that you have tiered rates. So relying on sources of supply was a common one that agencies use to develop different tiers for their water rates. But I wanted to note, though, and this is kind of the most important point, is that the law remains unsettled. While the city is having to comply with this particular case that was against the city of San Diego, there's also a recent decision in a case called Dreher versus Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, and that court reached a different result and essentially a more favorable standard for the agency in determining that its tiered water rates were justified and how it reached the methodology for those tiers. So there's sort of a split right now in the Court of Appeals within California. That Dreher case out of LA is going up to the California Supreme Court. So the California Supreme Court will have the final say on what is the standard for tiered rates methodologies under Prop 218. The good news for the district, and I just double checked with the general manager during the meeting, is that you updated your water rates in 2025 for a 4-year period. The statute of limitation for challenging those rates is already run. So by the time the district goes to adopt its water rates again after that 4-year period, we will know what the legal standard is for what types of methodologies have to be used. But it's another reminder of why it's important to work carefully with rate consultants and legal counsel when doing the Prop 218 rate studies to make sure that you do your best to justify the rate structure that you come up with, and that it's defensible, and that all of the procedural advantages that now exist in the law can be taken advantage of to protect the district's rates that you determine as a board. So I'm happy to answer any brief questions.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really good information for the future, so. Okay, so San Diego County Water Authority, we met a couple weeks ago, and the big topic of conversation was the rate increase. And I have a chart that I wanted to share.
It's being brought up right now.
Okay. So the rate increase that a lot of you probably saw in the news was 3%, but this is, so the summary where you see that the highlighted item, the summary of calendar year 27 Water Authority rates and charges, the 3% is like a weighted kind of, I don't want to use the word average, but it's a combination of all of these different rates and charges. So as you can see at the top, the untreated rate is unchanged. And then the treatment rate that we pay at Vallecitos for treated water has gone up a good amount. So I think the original calculations that General Manager Gumpel shared with me is that our rate to County Water Authority is going to be around the 7% increase range.
Yeah, it's a rough estimate.
So, so we're certainly more than 3%. Now, some agencies might be less than 3% if they have their own treatment. So it really varies. But overall, the total revenue increase, we voted to be 3%, which is lower than CPI. So I, as a board member, was a little bit uncomfortable with such a low rate increase, given that the costs are going up. But we did have a lot of flexibility just because of all of the water transfer agreements that have been signed recently. So that really helped keep the pressure on rates down. So that's where we are, and that was kind of the big news that I wanted to share with the group. So any questions on that? Okay. ENCINA.
Want me to report on that one? ENCINA, we met a couple weeks ago, and it seems like we're always talking about money. So we're gonna talk about odor instead of money when we're talking about ENCINA, and how much it's gonna cost to control that odor. So we did two big things. We just talked about the odor corrosion control improvements project. It was installed originally in '82, so therefore we need to spend a lot of money to upgrade that odor and corrosion control at a tune of about $14 million for the construction of the odor control improvements project. So we talked about that, and then there was a heat dryer shaker replacement at about $200,000. So it's a facility that was built, in the early '80s, and things are starting to, and it's right there on the ocean. Things corrode. It's in a highly corrosive environment, and so we're grateful for ENCINA for treating a lot of our waste, but it's just going to cost money to treat that water. And so again, odor control is huge. There's a lot of, it's in a beautiful area down there in Carlsbad, and so they're spending some money to treat the odor and keep it clean. So that was my report from ENCINA.
Thank you. Standing committees. Did any meet? No? Okay. Directors' reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended. We've been like low on the conference attendance, I feel like lately. There hasn't been any exciting conference reports. So, and anything this month? No?
Taking summer off. Fall will be here. There'll be some fall conferences.
There you go. Okay, any other business? Director's comments or future agenda items? Okay, well, I am sorry to miss the employee appreciation lunch. That's always a good time. So please extend my congratulations to everybody being recognized for that. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.